Attention, young and new voters. Tell me, are you stressed about the upcoming election? Are you confused about how to choose the right candidate? Do you even know who's running? If so, you might even be considering not voting. Well, don't worry. Welcome to Emily's Guide to Voting for the Presidential Election. I'm Emily, and I will be your guide through this confusing maze of campaigns, speeches, and debates that will culminate with you hopefully casting your vote in November of 2024. Let's start with who's running. For the Democratic Party, we have Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, who will most likely be running for re-election. If this does not happen, however, possible candidates include Michelle Obama, Bernie Sanders, Pete Buttigieg, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Elizabeth Warren, Stacey Abrams, Cory Booker, Amy Klobuchar, and Gavin Newsom. For the Republican Party, the possible candidates are Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, Mike Pence, Chris Christie, Donald Trump Jr., Nikki Haley, Ted Cruz, Kristi Noem, Mitt Romney, Marco Rubio, Liz Cheney, Dan Crenshaw, Tim Scott, Tom Cotton, Greg Abbott, Larry Hogan, Rick Scott, Mike DeWine, Joni Ernst, Josh Hawley, Doug Ducey, Mike Lee, and Mike Pompeo. You're probably thinking, Emily, that's a lot of people. How do I know who to vote for? I'm so glad you asked. In America, the two main parties are the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. There are other independent parties, but these are the two main ones. Anyway, if you don't know who to vote for, here are some tips to keep in mind. First, look at the main ideas and beliefs of the parties. Which party has beliefs that you agree with? Second, look at the main candidates for each party. If they both have beliefs that you agree with and you can't decide who to vote for, look at how each candidate presents themselves. Look at how they act around other people, the press, or when they're being recorded. If one candidate aligns with some of your beliefs, but they act like a jerk, you might not want to vote for them. Third, just do some research. Look online for which of the candidates you believe is the best fit to run the country. If you think that a good president should be able to stay calm under pressure, see if you can find out how some of the candidates have acted in the past when put under pressure. If you believe that a good candidate should be smooth and charismatic, find out which of the candidates is more charismatic. And if more than one of the candidates align with what you believe is an important skill or quality, look for the candidate who checks more of the boxes than the others, or for which one is less of what you don't want in a president. Remember, it's your vote. Only you can decide who you vote for. Alright, that's a lot to take in. But let's say you've decided on who you're going to vote for. You've chosen the best candidate that aligns the best with what you believe. Something that you need to make sure of, especially as a young or new voter, is that you're registered to vote. Being registered to vote means that you have let state officials know that you meet the requirements for voting, and thus you can vote. Registering to vote is done differently in each state, but in Tennessee, where I'm from, you must make sure that you register to vote in time for the election. In Tennessee, you cannot register on Election Day. The window for registering to vote is at least 30 days before Election Day. But how do I register to vote? I'm so glad you asked. In Tennessee, you must have a driver's license to register to vote. Once you have that, there are a few other requirements. You must be at least 18, you have to be a U.S. citizen, you have to be a resident of Tennessee, and you cannot have committed a felony or crime in the past that would have taken away your ability to vote. To fulfill this list, there are a few documents that you'll need. You will need your driver's license, passport, or other forms of photo identification. This could also be a military ID or a handgun carry permit with a photo ID. In Tennessee, you could also do an online registration, but you must be able to provide the documents I listed before. In many states, there is an automatic registration. This means that if you go to the DMV to get a driver's license, the DMV can then register you to vote without you having to do anything because the DMV already has access to some of the documents you need to register, because you need some of those documents to get a driver's license. Automatic registration means that you don't have to worry about remembering to register because the state has already registered you to vote. And don't worry if you don't want to be automatically registered. You can always opt out. Finally, you might be wondering, why should I vote? Well, by voting, you are exercising your ability to help decide who gets to basically run the country. For many years, the ability and right to vote was reserved for certain groups. Many groups, like women and African Americans, had to fight for their right to vote. The struggle these groups went through is what gives you the ability to vote now. You may not think that you should vote or that your one vote can't actually make a difference, but it can. Voting, in my opinion, is a right, a responsibility, and a privilege. As I said, many people for a long time weren't allowed to vote, but they fought for their right to vote, making it a privilege to vote since many people couldn't for a long time. Voting is also a right because it is something that now virtually everyone in the U.S. can do, but it could also be taken away if someone is a criminal or a felon. Lastly, voting is a responsibility, because by choosing to vote, you can contribute to the way your country is run and governed. Voting is something that all throughout history, America has fought for, and so we should make sure to honor what our ancestors believed in. All this to say, I hope this was helpful in informing you how, when, and where to vote when Election Day comes. Election Day is November 2nd, 2024, and you better believe I plan to be at the polls, and I hope you will be too. If you're still skeptical, think about this important quote from Dr. Seuss. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not. Sometimes, all it takes is one person to tip the scales and make a difference. Even if you don't think your vote can do much, you should vote anyway. Because being a young or new voter, this is your first time exercising this right, and I think you should take advantage of this opportunity. Thank you all for watching this video. If you want more information about voting, I use these sources for my information. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.